is what Star Wars is all about, right? Amazing action-packed combat and a heroic, engaging storyline. And what could be cooler than to live and play in an MMO that delivers that promise? And that's what we're going to show you in our demo today. Now, I just want to point out one thing. We just came back from Gamescom, and I say the only thing cooler than that trailer, I hope you agree with me, is seeing that trailer and hearing it in German.
It is ridiculous.
There's nothing like a German Sith. I think you can hear that on our website. You should really
check it out on the website.
Und jetzt, euer Republik fallen.
Very nice. Awesome stuff. All I learned was Einmeer beer.
Yeah, that was there too.
Okay, so the event you just saw was called the Sacking of Coruscant. It's an important event in the history leading up to our game. Now, if you want to find out more about the history of the Star Wars universe and leading up to the Old Republic, we've teamed up with Dark Horse Comics. You can go to our website. We've got some webcomics that tell the events from the Sacking of Coruscant leading up to this event, and we've got some video timeline pieces that go way back into Star Wars history and lead us up to the Sacking of Coruscant, so be sure to check it out.
Yeah, so if you really want to nerd it out, and I think you do, you should check all that stuff out. It's good stuff.
That's right. So we're almost to the demo, I promise, but we want to talk about story again really quickly. So how do we put great story into an MMO?
How do we do that, Blaine?
Well, we feel that story drives choice and choice drives action. Are you with me?
I'm with you. I'm very with you.
All right. But if you've played previous BioWare games, and we know all of you have, you know that?
Yeah.
Thank you. You know that the choices in BioWare games are not about simple choices, about important choices that matter, that are emotionally engaging, and that actually have an impact on the gameplay. That's what we're going to show you today. So we're going to jump into it now. And I want to point out before we start, what you're seeing today, very important, live demo. So we got two great demoers here. We already pointed out Jake Neary, producer from LucasArts, Tim Temmerman, associate producer from LucasArts.
They play real good. They play real good.
And again, just want to thank the technical staff and our marketing crew and everybody, and let's show them the game.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to start you off on the planet of Hutta. Now, it's worth pointing out this is the first time that Hutta has been a fully realized planet in the Star Wars universe, and we're showing you our bounty hunter class. We're actually showing you the female bounty hunter, which we haven't shown before. Special reveal. There you go, bounty hunter with bosoms. Hooray. She is, if you like girls in video games that aren't real, but that's cool, man. That's fine. In any case, as a bounty hunter, you're here to try and win entry into the Great Hunt. It's a contest sponsored by the Mandalorians to find the greatest bounty hunter in the galaxy. In keeping with the traditional bounty hunters from the films, your motivation here is personal and it's mercenary. Now, we announced recently that this is the first ever fully voiced MMO. What that means is that every player character, both a male and a female version, every NPC, every quest giver, everyone you talk to in the game has full, high-quality voiceover. End-to-end, this is an epic BioWare and Lucas storytelling experience. Now, you're about to talk with this guy, Brayden. He's your mentor. This is the first conversation that you have in the Old Republic as a bounty hunter.
We're almost set up. See if you can't get that security network running, Mako.
Sure thing, Brayden. We'll be, hey now.
Hey, indeed. The main attraction is here. Team, this is the girl we're pinning all our hopes on. Best shot I've ever seen in Nerves of Steel. She's great hunt material, all right. What do you say, Hunter? Ready to meet your team?
Now, you can see Jake is making a choice here. As Blaine referred to in the past, if you've played BioWare games, you know what this means. This not only changes your immediate story, it changes the way that NPCs treat you later in the game.
19. I like the sound of that.
Get used to the idea. To win the Great Hunt, you'll need support, structure, intel. Let's do things official-like. This is Mako, little genius I picked up years ago in Nar Shaddaa. She provides intel and tech.
Up here is good, as the old man says.
And the big bruiser is Jory. He handles the heavy lift and provides security for our base of operations.
Ajua Beki, Dobra Sawata Hopa, Amaota Nanaga, or Kiburira Labi.
Nice to meet you both. Let's get to work.
All right, enough introductions. Down to business. We're here because the Great Hunt has been called. Little Mako is the most rabid fan of hunter history this side of Geonosis, but even she doesn't know exactly what the Great Hunt entails.
I do know the names of every Great Hunt winner, though. Bloodworthy, the Defenestrator, Jewel and Nightbringer.
Every every bounty hunter who's won a great hunt went on to massive glory and riches, which is why we're here.
Personally, I'm just here to kill people and cause damage.
Dallas, she sounds kind of high maintenance to me.
I think she's a little, I don't think you need to date her, Blaine, in your weird world that you live in that isn't reality. Anyway, that is your first conversation in the Old Republic, folks. Every conversation in the game is going to be like that one. Great dialogue, compelling choices, and cinematic digital acting. This has been another place that BioWare has been a leader over the years, putting cinematic acting into the game. Now, as we step outside, I'm going to talk a little bit about our art style. We've been referring to this as stylized realism. The idea is to create a world that is very unique, very evocative of Star Wars in the Old Republic era, but it's not tied down to photorealism. And I think you're going to see that as we show you the planet Hutta. So there you go, folks. That is Hutta. It's the home of the Hutts, as you might have guessed. Although it wasn't originally their planet, they actually moved in, enslaved the existing population, changed the name of the planet because they're very classy people, and then turned it into a bit of a toxic waste dump. Lots of gases and noxious fumes there.
And then did they dress all the women in a little bikini thing?
I don't know if they did that. You seem to have a fixation here, Blaine, and I think we should move past it. In any case, off in the distance, you can see the palace of Nemro the Hutt. He's the warlord in charge of this particular section of the planet. In charge is maybe a stretch because there's a whole lot of gangland violence in the streets, which we're about to cause. I think it's going to be the first look at combat in the Old Republic. So obviously, the bounty hunter is a ranged class. She has a blaster. She has some rockets at her disposal. We want to make sure your combat is as iconic as your story. It has to feel like a bounty hunter's combat system. So things we remember from the bounty hunters, they have some gadgets they can use. So when she doesn't want to take on 3 at a time, starts off with a little stun dart, then comes up close and takes them out with a flamethrower. Obviously, she wants to maintain range, but if she has to get up close, she handles it the way a bounty hunter should. Now, you notice that Jake is taking on multiple enemies at once here. This is part of the game. We want to make sure that you feel like a hero from the beginning. So you'll take on groups of 2, groups of 3, even 4, very early on. We just make sure you have the tools to handle that kind of combat. Another look at that flamethrower because it's hot. See what I did there with the hot? It's funny.
I do, I see.
Yeah, it's not funny. Anyways, this is what we're talking about. This is heroic Star Wars combat that feels like the iconic class you think of when you think of the films. Now we're going to jump over and show you a second class here. We'll get back to the bounty hunter in a minute.
All right, so the next class we're going to show you here, we first talked about at E3, and this is, of course, our smuggler class. Now you can quickly identify where this guy's taken from. Looks a lot like Han Solo from the movies. And so this means that, of course, he is the scrappy, jaded underdog who always comes out on top, no matter the odds stacked against him. And of course, this guy always gets the girl, maybe even the hot bounty hunters.
You really need to drop this whole fixation of virtual girls.
Now, we start out on the planet of Ord Mantell here, and Ord Mantell is a war-torn planet in the Star Wars universe. You saw a destroyed walker there in the background. And basically, there are some separatists that are duking it out with the Republic here, and our mission as a smuggler is to run guns to the Republic side and help them out. Now, let's see what combat looks like with our smuggler. All right, so we quickly established he's a ranged class, that trusty blaster at his side, if you will. Now, one of the important things about our game is every class, we want every class to play, feel, look different. And so in thinking about, how we can make the smuggler special, we had to think about what Han Solo does in the movie. So Dallas, could you do a little reenactment?
I think he does a lot of this. Maybe he peeks around corners and stuff. Yeah, he's not really a tough toe-to-toe fighter, our Han Solo.
No, he is not. So, what we've come up with is the first ever cover system of its type in an MMO, which you see here. Now, it's often disputed, but some may say that Han
shoots first. That's what we're going to show you right here.
Han shoots
That's right. Han shoots first.
All right, so you can see Jake has taken cover here, and the way that works is he's targeted an enemy, and then we get some indicators in the world that show us cover points. And we can switch between cover points, which we just saw there. And once we have established ourselves in a good cover position, we can then fire upon the enemy. Now you may notice above the enemy's head there's a green indicator. Just tells us that we have a defensive bonus against that enemy